Anything else?
That's what I have.
Okay. Jim? Anything? Steve?
Nothing stuck out to me.
All right. So I'm looking at percentage of taxes collected, which is 100% on the town side, and 99.89 on the fire side, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. So we're only 622.73 short on the Warehouse Point Fire District, so that's really good. That's- yeah. So, nice. All right. Paulette, you got anything? No. All right, cool. All right, so we will go on to transfer requests. All right, so the first one, number 23.
I will move we approve transfer request number 23 for $7,050 for human services.
Is there a second for discussion?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
As I noted during our budget, somehow or other, we budgeted them less money than we did the year before for salaries. How we did that, I don't know, it's not clear.
Yeah.
That's what the first three are. Well, actually, number 4 was recent approved pay increase, so. It's able to find places in the salary lines of other departments that either have vacancies or.
That's one of the adjustments we've made in the new proposed budget, right? Adjusting that.
Mhm. That's a big difference though, $7,000.
Yeah. It's a big mess.
Well, what would we be doing if we didn't have it somewhere else?
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion clearly passes. Number 24, Senior Center.
I move we approve transfer request number 24, an amount of $3,000 for the senior center.
Any discuss, second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 25, Senior Center.
I move we approve transfer request number 25 for the senior center, an amount of $4,370.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion clearly passes. And number 26, Public Works.
I move we approve transfer request of $5,000 for transfer request number 26, the amount of $5,000 for the Public Works Department.
No, that was a change. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Sorry.
Okay, any
I
discussion?
was thinking more than I was paying attention.
Yep.
That's the one where the employee changed, right? Or is that wasn't a miscalculation?
From clerk union to supervisors union.
Right, so that wasn't a miscalculation, that was an actual physical change. Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion clearly passes. All right, number 9, there is no unfinished business. On to new business, bank analysis fee line. I believe this was
You asked me
Jim's.
to look at that.
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah.
that actually, we have been able to, I think Kim had gone back to Webster Bank and negotiated all of those fees off and down, and we had been able to maintain the balances that we need to offset the fees. We did recently approve absorbing the credit card processing fees for Parks and Rec, rather than penalize people for using credit cards, so they're not coming in with little bags of cash all the time. And we were using that line to actually monitor what that's costing the town. So that's what those fees are. They're not actually like bank analysis fees for the general fund.
So their credit card fees
Their
used to
credit card
process
fees.
through the
Right.
So is-
online,
The credit card
online.
companies charge fees.
Right,
And like
a lot
in
of
the
them are
tax
2% per
department,
transaction.
Pass that on to whoever's paying, but they felt that it was unfair. They wanted to encourage a lot more credit card use
Mhm.
for Parks and Rec.
With that, did they, I would be first interested in changing that line because that's a completely different animal.
Right.
Number two, I would be interested to see what the end result of that is. If it's costing us a lot of money to offset credit card fees, that may not be advantageous if the programs are only garnering so much money. So I'd be really kind of, I mean, I know it's all small change, but if we should watch whether or not that's to our advantage, because it's probably a 2 or 3% per transaction, I'm sure. That would be the normal. Okay, thank you, Gail.
All right. And then on to letter B, approve FY18 budget and forward to referendum, which I think we did do at our last workshop, but we just wanted to have it there in case anybody had time to look over stuff, think of stuff, and just put it out there one last time. So that's really what it was there for. I mean, we did make our motion and send it to referendum the last time, but that doesn't mean that we can't do something today if somebody so chooses.
Did we add those words and send it to referendum? That's something
We
I
can
have
ask
to do.
Peg. We could do that now if we did not. Absolutely. Well, we can do, we would probably do it again today anyways, just to, although Jim would have to,
No, you did that same.
we get the numbers for Jim.
You just approved it at a value.
And the value, okay. So we approve the value, so we would have to approve the value and now send it to referendum. So, with that said, does anybody have anything additional that they want to look at, or are we ready to make the motion?
Ready to make a motion.
Ready to make the motion, Jim, or?
Yeah, thank you, Gail, for providing that information. There was a lot of talk after our last meeting in the public about things that were cut and how we weren't paying attention. And I wanted us to have actual documentation, and that's why I asked for Gail to prepare what came from the first selectman and then what came from the selectmen, because those are the things we're dealing with. And so folks can see what it would have really cost them if either of those budgets were going to be approved. And with that, I'll make a motion. I can't find my page. Is this the right one? I believe this is, I'm not gonna make that motion because I'm not sure I got the right page as final.
It's on page.
We'll get it.
What we did hear, what I did hear is a lot of people saying that we're not giving the town the chance to vote on what we need.
Right.
And for me, what kind of sticks out is the Board of Ed. That we brought that below 2%, and then you're gonna get people voting no because of that.
Well, and if we get into the discussion, then we have to open the other side of the discussion. And that's why I wanted everyone to see that, because our revenues still do not reflect an honest, we're not creating an honest budget. If we were creating a budget that, and I shouldn't use the word honest, excuse me. We're creating a budget that does not really show where the town's at in collecting its revenues. And in the end, next year, if we don't have revenue generators, this year's budget's gonna seem like a wonderful thing compared to what's gonna happen. And I want people to understand that I have said from the beginning, I believed a zero increase on the budget, a zero increase to each department was what I would be after if I was doing it by myself, because I'm looking at it strictly from the revenue side. And we can't, I should say we can't, we are extending ourselves well beyond what we can afford. We're living beyond our means. And unfortunately, I don't want to cut everything either, but we've got to take care of the first three things, which is public safety, which I believe the budget that we have at the percent it's at does. The infrastructure, which we've addressed to the best of our ability, And education, while there's talks about percentages and so on, even with their small percentage increase compared to the town, they're getting a sizable increase in the actual dollars and cents. And it's unfortunate that we're the board that has to look at it and say, you know what, we really can't afford this, but we're doing our best to provide it. But we will have to do something between now and next year, because we're not gonna have that $475,000 next year to play with. And I'm very concerned about that. And I will, you know, tonight I'll be voting for the budget as we all work together and came to a consensus. But I'm concerned that people will expect the same next year, and unless they want a sizable increase in taxes, which all of these, while they all did good things, they presented a sizable increase. I'm just concerned about the future. But with that, that's why I was saying if someone makes a motion, I'll be glad to second what we put together.
Before we make a motion, I agree with a lot of things Jim said. I mean, we do have $475,000 coming out of our fund balance to help make this budget come out to a 2.49% increase, which obviously is not going to happen next year. With that being said, you know, I think, you know, the budgets from a lot of the departments have come through with, you know, did for the most part what we asked them to do. I mean, they had the bare minimum increases in there. Obviously, the ones that took the biggest hit from us here is the Board of Education. I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, truly, I'd like to give them more, but unfortunately, the voting record of this town to pass a budget doesn't support that happening. But next year, a 2.49% increase is going to seem small.
Yeah.
And if it, you know, it's a double-edged sword we have here in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
With that being said, I'm willing to, what's the word I'm looking for here? No, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna say, you know, I'm willing to throw away the first referendum. I'm not gonna, I don't wanna use the term throw it away, but I'm willing to restore some money to them. I mean, we can throw it out back at what they originally wanted, and maybe, just maybe, but somehow we have to educate people in this town that we have to take it, we can't go to a 2% budget increase this year and make it work next year.
Right.
Because obviously there's cuts coming from the state of Connecticut, we don't know what they are right now. We don't know what they're gonna be next year. And, you know, we're kind of gambling on this budget as we put it together, but we don't have a choice, is the way I kind of look at it. So, I mean, I'm willing to, you know, put the first budget referendum out there, and just maybe if we can somehow educate the members of this town, and maybe the Board of Education can help us do that and get their people out to vote and start to move this in the direction we have to. But then again, we still have that $475,000 we put in there from the fund to make this budget work this year, and I don't know how to make that work going forward. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm willing to do more, but I just don't know how it's going to work.
Well,
No, we don't have that money next year.
and we don't have anything in the hopper on the grand list growth. There's nothing that's going to occur in 12 months.
And, you know, and some of the discussion we had during our budget meeting, and then I totally agree with Steve on some of this, is we need to look at possibly doing things other towns, regionalization, but that takes time, and unfortunately, it sounds like we've tried that in the past on some small things, like an animal control officer, and got blown up in our face. But that's something, reality, in the future that in all departments needs to be looked at, and I mean, reality is here, and not that we have, and I honestly believe this town has been very conservative over the past however many years. So it's I mean, we sit here in a situation, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, as much as I would hope this 2.49% would pass, I don't know if it will be, based on the past voting history of this town. But like I said, I am willing to put money in there, and like I said, I don't want to use the term throw away the first referendum, but
Do you think it would really pass if we put money back in the Board of Ed?
We've gone through referendums, I don't know how many times in the last 4 years, 5 years since the 2% was put in.
We've certainly put up budgets much higher. There's a budget of, at 8.6% spending
They've all
at
failed,
6.8.
that's the
Sure,
problem.
2%.
But I'd like to
isn't gonna
at
pass.
least see the Board of Ed add at least a 2% increase.
One year we put in 1.97% increase
That was
and it
That
failed.
was last year, at 1.97.
But I've always said it, that we need to give the town the chance to say yes to what the town needs.
We have, but they haven't said
Unfortunately,
yes.
not enough voters, not enough citizens of this town come out to vote.
Well, maybe this time they'll hear and come out. You gotta give them the chance, you gotta give them the chance, but I think it needs to be at least at the 2%. Bill's talking about restoring it all the way. We've taken cuts from everybody, so,
Yeah.
I'd like to at least add back,
In
what was it,
reality, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead, finish.
wasn't it $100,000 that we took away
That's-
to get to
Yeah.
where they are now, to at least put that back?
But they asked for 4.5% originally to
Right.
start with.
And everyone asked for money, and it was, we've cut everyone's initial request.
Well, but it's gonna come down to the same old thing.
Well, let it
you
come
know,
down, let it happen,
but-
let it
All right, but
play out.
3 referendums, and I don't mean to be a negative Nelly, 3 referendums cost 4 or 5 grand apiece.
Right.
And you might have a referendum coming down on this casino stuff. I don't know, stuff that went on last night, everybody's been talking about. So you know what, it's not gonna be just that. There's gonna be costs coming up that we aren't prepared for. So, I'm not trying to slam anything you guys wanna do. You guys can do whatever you feel you need to do. Just be logical about it. We've done this how many years? Unfortunately, the charter is not a good charter. The 2% cap is horrible. It stagnates this town, and it is what it is.
If you're saying they're gonna go to vote 3 times, they're gonna vote 3 times. Give them a chance to say yes to something.
Yeah, but if we let them vote 3 times, and we say...
What do you mean, let 'em vote?
Well,
They're
if
gonna-
we vote 3 times and it fails 3 times, it will be less than what they're getting now. In other words, if we go through 3 referendums, it's 2%.
Right,
Not
we'll get more money,
2.4.
so
Well, it
that
won't,
pe-
because we'll do what we did last time, and we'll go under 2, and it'll be like a 1.8, or it'll be whatever, and, who knows where it's gonna end up. I'm not saying what to do, I'm just
No, you
going past history and reminding you of past history.
I mean,
That's all.
The Broadbrook Fire Department asked for 2 people, and we cut them to 1 person to, staff during the hours of the day when the volunteers couldn't be here. I mean, to me, that's just something extremely important, and, I made the motion to give them 1 instead of 2. In reality, if we, we should throw that second, if we're gonna give the voters a budget to play with, we should put that position back in there too, because in reality, they should have that person here, because if that's the only 2 people watching the fire department during the day, there's a lot of things that really should be in there that we took out. I don't know,
Just-
like I said,
it's just because
I'm good
it's-
with where we're at, because I think it's fair, and I think I would hope it would pass, but I have mixed feelings that it will. My other thing is, where do we go from here if it doesn't? I don't know where to go. I don't know what else we can do.
I'd like to make a motion to add back the $100,000 into the Board of Education's budget.
add back 100,000?
Yeah, that would put them at 2%.
Now,
Are
you
able to
realize
figure out what that
when
does?
you're doing that, last
Give her
night
a
they
second.
discussed Scout Hall and the fact that that's gonna cost us X number of dollars. What was the number last night that they were throwing? Was it 83,000 for the pump station?
84.
84 and another 20. So we're gonna be $100,000 behind in this budget going
All
in.
right, but she put a motion, so
I know.
is there a
Oh,
second?
I'm sorry, I
It's okay.
apologize.
Is there a second to her motion?
I'll second.
All right, now discussion. Go ahead, Jim, keep going, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm with Cindy. I feel horrible because I feel we're shorting the kids. I really do. I've served 11 years as president of the Education Foundation, donated over $30,000 from the foundation to the school system. So I'm a supporter of education. I served as a representative from a board to them for 4 years. So I get what they're up against. But we don't have the money. If I don't have money to go to dinner, I don't go to dinner. If I don't have money to buy champagne, I buy beer. I mean, that's what we're down to here. Because
If
we
people
don't.
pass the budget,
It's, even if they pass it, the families still have to pay for it, and I don't think the families, all the families can afford it. In other words, we're talking about affordability when we talk taxes. Can Joe down the street afford it? Tim can because he's all right, his job's safe. Joe can't because his wife got laid off last month, and he's looking at a finite period in which he can have money and pay his taxes. So if we make the taxes unreachable, it becomes a situation where we're constantly putting people in bad spots to tax them. And if mom has to, or even worse scenario, mom's been able to stay home, but now because taxes went up, she decides to get a nighttime job. Now you're affecting that kid a different way. So if we're talking about the kids, there's more to it than just the school system. And that's why I say I'm not against what y'all are suggesting.
but what, the feedback I've gotten and you've seen has been, give us a chance. Now, that's just when it comes down to it, is just a few people, but,
Well, look
let
at tonight,
people
we had
say-
that great discussion, Cindy, you gave a great explanation, by the way, on Facebook. Excellent. Look at the crowd. Look at the audience here tonight,
I must have missed something, so
you
whoever
know?
was on sorry, I don't do Facebook.
Well, no, Cindy gave an explanation of how we got where we're at. It was excellent. Well, I encourage anyone to read that if they want to understand what's going on. But the problem is, this is what we get for turnouts. And it's not that I don't support education. If they vote this down, we can go back at it and cut some services in the town and throw the money back in the school system. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Maybe we should be cutting some of these social services we got and be putting it directly into the school system. I mean, if you want to move the money around, that's fine, but we get a finite amount of money without hurting people. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't want to pay more in taxes. And you're forgetting the Warehouse Point District. Those folks are already dealing with what, 600,000? I don't know what they ended up being for a budget. Somebody would have to inform me, but it's up there. So anybody living in Warehouse Point District, Fire District, myself included, is paying probably $1 million to $1.5 million more than anybody else in town. So they're already up.
Right. But you're gonna have people that know that if the Board of Ed is their thing, and I think that's a large group, that if they say no 3 times, the Board of Ed will get more money. The Board of Ed, if they say no 3 times, the Board of Ed's budget will
You know
go up
what?
to 2%.
If we have to come back this after the first one, I'm looking at cutting everything to 0, because that's what the voters are saying to me. They're saying, Jim, get rid of the senior center.
But you can't say
Jim,
that.
get rid of this. I mean,
You can't say that if the Board of Ed budget is under.
so we go to a
is under 2%
stagnant,
in
made up
increase.
2%, and the town continues down the same path it's been traveling with that lousy 2%. And that's the wrong path. And if they vote that way, then they aren't worried about the school's future. We have to get money under control, or else the future of everything here is at stake. And that's the way I look at it. And we can't gamble on projects that haven't even got approval yet. We can't count on a windfall that may or may not get here. That's my concern. And City, God help me, I agree with you about the kids. I don't want to shortchange the schools. But I don't
just
see
wanna
what
get
else
it.
we do.
I just think we're clouding the waters by the very first one taking it under 2%.
Make a motion to call the question?
Sure. Second? I don't need it, yeah. Okay. All in favor?
What was the motion?
To
Call the question right now.
Oh, to just call the question. I can handle that one.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Sorry, call it my text here. I wasn't listening. All right, so who was the first and second on that, adding the 100, just so Peg has it?
I'm the first.
We are second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Motion fails. All it was opposed. All right, so we move on.
Is that the numbers up there? Because I'm going to, if everybody's comfortable, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to get this thing on the road. Is everybody comfortable with what's up there? I can't even
Making
read.
sure it matches.
37,937,018.
That's the motion I make.
Okay, you need to make the motion
Yes,
to
ma'am.
approve the fiscal year 2002. Here, how about I give you this,
Yeah!
and it'll say, and send it to referendum at the end.
Thank you very much. I was waiting for my cheater. I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2017-2018 total budget in the amount of 379370108 with a mill rate of 32.09. Is that all right still so far? And send it to referendum.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Aye.
Wait a minute.
You gotta say nay.
Are you saying nay?
I said aye.
I'm saying nay.
Okay. So Jim is in favor of sending to
Yes.
referendum. Steve is in favor of sending referendum. Cindy opposed. Bill opposed.
I'm in favor.
Paulette in favor. Motion passes.
Wow,
All right.
party line budget.
Thank you for the cheating minutes.
You're welcome.
That hasn't happened in a long time.
Thanks. All right, we are on
Jeez,
to,
it couldn't just be difference of opinions and not
we're on
party
to
line?
board member comments. Paulette, anything?
You can't, this budget is gonna go to referendum 3 times, and we're gonna end up with 2%, and this town's not gonna move anywhere, because we can't do it on 2% for another year. So basically, we're gonna have to change something. I don't know what it is right now.
Okay. William?
Really?
Wow, you're in trouble now, boy.
Hey guys, I spoke earlier, like I said, I have mixed feelings about this budget. I mean, I'm okay with it, but like I said, I'm very concerned about where we are next year. We sit here at this time and we have a, 5-6% that we're looking at, and reality for, I mean, and if it gets voted to a 2%, then there's some serious cuts coming this way. So with that, I would, hope that, over the next year that Bob and the departments and whatnot in the town kind of, and we work together and find a way that we can make the residents of this town realize the reality of what we're facing next year. And, and I would hope, all of the, boards and departments would get together and so we're not sitting here at this time, looking at a nasty number next year. And so I don't know, my thoughts going forward is that we in the next year, as a town as a whole, like I said, boards, commissions, departments really need to look at what we can do. And, I hope some development shows up. I hope certain things happen, but if they don't, we've kind of touched on some things that really need to be looked into. And, like I said, and Steve made some great points during our discussions earlier, regionalization and pooling of resources between towns. I think all towns may need to be looking at that going forward. So with that, like I said, that's my piece, I guess. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I echo what Bill has said, and that I think we're at a crossroads, or we're at a breaking point of, now we can't keep on cutting without, destroying departments. So we're talking about deleting departments, not having services, and that's what people really need to understand, that unless we do drastic changes, you're talking about, what did we talk about? The fund, massively cutting senior center or Warehouse Point Library or some of the other departments, or regionalizing or doing something major. As long as the realities of the budget are that the two big driving forces are salaries and the benefits. And the salaries are contractually over a 2% increase. And the benefits, the way they've gone with insurance costs, are looking at 15% increases. So as long as that stuff goes up, the budget stays at 2%, that means you're cutting services. You cannot sustain if the salaries are going contractually up more than 2% and the benefits are going up some much higher percentage, and you're not accounting for that in the budget, you are going to be cutting services. And that's what we've been doing, and we're now at a point where major things are gonna happen.
Okay. Steve?
I've said my piece previously, everybody said everything. I have to say, I don't think this budget's going to pass at 2.49%. I voted to just move it along. I think as Paulette said, it's going to fail 3 times, we're going to be at 2%. And as everybody else has stated, there's going to have to be structural reforms based upon that 2%.
Thanks. Jim?
There isn't a whole lot to say. Our future is kind of based on something what the state does, what they do with the budget, what they do in regards to our developments we're trying to put in. And unfortunately, if the state continues with what it's planning, which is just with the cuts, we're going to have to change how we do business, whether it's regionalization to save programs, complete cuts of programs, and we really need to start looking at those things today for next year. And I think that's been part of our plan, is we've not taken it to where is this program going to be here? Where is this program? We're not analyzing our trends. How are we going to look in 5 years from now, and what is the plan? I'm hopeful that a lot of us work hard at trying to create economic development. I did attend the EDC on Monday night. They're very excited to be moving forward to promote the incentives we now have in place for people that come here and want to do business. They're great opportunities. I think if our tax rate goes too high, it will be another detriment to someone wanting to come here. And I agree with Cindy that if something, we're going to have to look at cutting things. So if they don't want to pass this budget, which really tried to look at everything objectively and contrary to popular opinion that we hear out in the community, we kind of did look at everybody with an open eye. We didn't target one group, one department. I think our group has worked hard to achieve that goal. And even walking out tonight, we might disagree, but I think we all agree that it's a mess. It's not something that necessarily was created by the town, but it's where we're at. And I would hope that people would get out, vote this in, because if we have to come back to this table, if we don't get it, the next two, and we go to that 2%, we might as well just say, well, we're going to really be burned for next year. And I hope people realize it. This isn't going to go away. This isn't going to be wished away. And we really need to get it done. And this budget, I think, that passed tonight, again, I'm a zero increase guy, but we have to have services. We have to try to help people where we can. And hopefully they'll come out and vote, unlike tonight, again, the crowd. I won $1 tonight because I bet there'd be less than 20 people here, and there is. So.
Okay. All right, well, and I just want to thank all of you guys, because I think what gets forgotten, is that you're all volunteers, and you give of your time every time we meet, and there's been some really long nights, and they haven't been all fun. There's been a lot of disagreements and a lot of, angst. But y'all made it through, and you all tried your hardest, and that's all I can ask, and I thank you for that. So if I could have a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that,
Hold the thought.
so Mr. Leach is still here, and brought up something, I'll say a week or so ago, that I thought is worth consideration by your board, and that's, as the messaging associated with this budget goes out there, it would be worth demonstrating what the request started at, what was cut, what was left with, as a way of educating voters about.
That's what we did tonight. That's the documents I requested, and anybody that wants a copy, we can provide it.
Yeah, and what I'm talking about is actually like putting that out there instead of having it available to be out
The
there.
town wants to put it out there, they can.
I
How are
think,
you suggesting, or, I mean, you guys suggesting, and Bob obviously is part of this too, I guess, both Bobs.
I want to say something after Jason's through.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I offered to put something together, but I don't know if it would be just something that would be my personal thing, or it would be,
Well, I
this-
think it would have to be town generated if we were to do it.
Right,
It
this
really
was-
would have to
If you want to
be.
do a mailing, that's fine, we write a mailing, and I think that certainly the Board of Finance would want to contribute something, and probably the Board of Selectmen would want to put something in, and we could send out a mailing.
Well, if we're talking about where things started, where things ended up, original, that would be a lot of information. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure that, and I'm relaying something secondhand. Bob
Well,
can
he's
chime
here,
in.
so.
My whole intention was just to inform the voters of basically what the budget is and what all the, you can't go every line, but
Right.
what most of the major lines represent and what the advantages of having that as opposed to the disadvantage of having it cut, so.
Maybe even something at the department level to say that the
Yeah,
department
maybe.
initial request was this,
Most of those
was,
will be in, what goes on the website is what the departments initially requested, and then what Bob put together, what the Board of Selectmen approved, and what the Board of
yeah,
Finance approved.
it's overwhelming for the
It is
basic
overwhelming,
lawyer.
but.
If it
it's
were a
a-
10 to even 15-page document, but you really have to have some, yeah, no, that's too much.
Yeah, see,
People
nobody's
won't
gonna
look
make
at
it
that.
through that.
Yeah.
But you can probably get through
That's
10 to
the problem.
15 pages. So what it would take to do that, I don't know, but you'd have to have some explanation on some of it, not just.
More so than what I put out there?
Hmm?
More than what I put out there on Facebook?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a great start.
Right.
It's like I think, and I appreciate what they're saying when we started, and I had to look 3 places to find out where it started and where it ended. And that's the problem, but the problem with that is, again, Bob and Jay, I'm in agreement with you.
But
That's why I
in
requested
doesn't,
things.
right?
The attention that people are actually gonna pay, in other words, if we do a mailing, that costs X number of dollars, how many people are really gonna look at it? The only way to do it fiscally responsible is to do it the way I believe Gail's saying, which is on the website. And then get people to go to the website and pay attention. I mean, the website works. I mean, I know it's not the best, but it works. I go there and use it all the time, so.
I wanted to know if I could ask a question of you. I was just wondering, as you're talking about the delivery of the message, in what way I could form positively to start talking with my seniors about the changes to our senior center budget, and that, you know, reaching back out to the seniors to make some changes to include the program costs in their tickets, like you wanted us to do. How can I deliver that to them in a positive way so that, you know, they are a large pool of your voters, and I want to help distribute the message to them about the budget, and you're talking about that now. So, you know, any feedback from you on how I should talk to them about that would be, I would take your advice. Because I would want to do that preemptively with them, because changes will happen before July.
Yeah.
You have to be careful of the law around that,
Yeah.
and that you cannot use any town dollars to advocate for the budget one way or the other.
Right, you
So
guys
the
ran
law
into that,
really
yeah.
ties your hands about what you can do.
Mhm.
We get this question every year, why can't you use your robocall system to call the parents? We can't even tell them anymore what day the election is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, or the referendum rather. So it's, your hands are tied.
You can't even
Right.
tell the date anymore?
Not anymore, they.
Wow.
So.
Again, the state of Connecticut.
Right. Board members can act as individuals, you can't act as a board, but individually you can advocate. Where you are a paid employee, you can tell them facts about it, but I would be cautious that they could construe that you're trying to get them to
Support them,
vote
right.
one way or another, because you could get jammed up with that.
Right, and like I said, I don't want to deliver it as that, but to say, you know, to start talking about the changes and things that we're going to have to be working on at the senior center, and, you know, bringing it up as part of the delivery of the budget message and educating people on it.
Well, I would think it would be positive if you were to say to them, we're making changes so that we can help our fellow taxpayers and we can all work together.
oh yeah, they'll rally them right to the cause.
Right, yeah. That's why
Jason, are you a little jaded there? No.
Participation at the end.
I know, internal optimist.
No, I was just gonna say, as a parent and as a citizen, non-board member, the recent information on Facebook was a good outlet of social media. There was some good information that broke it down, I'm not sure.
Cindy
I don't know
did that.
faces, I don't know. It was a little bit, it was a good information tool. There's a lot of parents that can't be here, et cetera. But it is good as a parent, because we can try to, we can tell people anything.
Yeah.
This is true.
So there was some good information put out there. That's it.
Is it possible to come up with a simplified version of that document and have that document available? Like, this is where we started, this is after it went through the process. 2 numbers, keep it simple, don't worry about the mill rate, anything, just go with real dollars, real cuts, additions, or whatever, as simple as possible, and refer anybody that wants to go through the detail that it's available and where it is on the website or at the treasurer's office or wherever.
That's where I
That
was
is too
Dick on that.
complicated for most people to understand unless they follow the whole process.
Right, if you,
It really is.
those documents you handed us
This
tonight,
is-
if you handed just a break, just the first page that covers everything, if we had 3
I mean,
pages
you
like
can
that.
put together, you can put together a spreadsheet. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I can
But like the
put together a
missing the
spreadsheet.
steps, like where it started, then Bob's cuts, then their cuts, then our cuts. Those missing steps
So
are.
pick a point, you know, use the first selectmen's budget, or use the selectmen's budget, or use one of, you know, the initial presentation and where it ended, just so you can show that there was some change, that there was some progress that was made or
Well, our
scrutiny that was-
discussion.
I think the thing still out there though is how do you want to get this out? I mean, a lot of points have been brought up, but it will be on the website. People aren't going to go. The Dr. Kane brings up a really good thing, and that's a whole legality issue. I mean, so, I mean.
Well, and
If
if,
it's just information without any advocating, if it's a spreadsheet, like you said, I mean, and I would volunteer to do that too. I would, you know, put a summary sheet, put the detail out there.
the question though comes down to if I'm voting for the budget, am I voting for the entire picture of the budget, or am I just concerned about my one section? And I think that's what gets us in trouble with budgets. In other words, if I'm a supporter of, I don't know, XYZ, because I'm gonna get in trouble if I pick somebody, but if I'm in support of this department and we've cut it, and that's my reason for voting the budget down, then, you know, I mean, how do you persuade them to understand that some of these things have to go away because there isn't enough money? There's just not enough money anymore. And in business, you take it and you cut your frontline person, or you cut the part-time person, or you cut a service that you were providing to your customers. And that's where we're at. We're at what private business has been at for years. We're there. There's no more revenue, there's no more new customers to swoop in.
You can raise revenue. That's your power. That's the Board of Finance's power. So to the extent. that
Through
there's-
taxation, though.
Yeah. So-
Well, that's,
But that's a false statement, and it's misleading to say there's not enough revenue. It is accurate to say you don't want to raise revenue.
all right, I will be more
That's
accurate in
true.
saying raising revenue right now will put some people with no money in their pocket because they're already capped out. I really think people, a lot of them are at the edge of their,
Let's tie it back into though, the whole premise that got brought up is how do we get the information out there and get it from start to end, but simplify it, and where do we put it? We know this document's gonna be on the website. We know a lot of people don't go to the website, we also know that that can be confusing.
It's gonna be confusing on the website when they see proposed budget, approved budget. They're not, you know, unless there's good explanation of which budget is this, which budget is this, which budget is this.
right, because
It's gonna
there's
be
2
very
there already now.
confusing. They're gonna open them up. There are how many pages each one?
Like your summary that shows each department line is 12 pages.
And having 4 or 5 of them out there is gonna be very confusing.
I think it's gonna be very confusing if you try and put.
Well, if it just says final budget to the voters or something very clear,
Yeah, that's what it will say.
yeah.
But it won't have that information of where it started from.
Or how the process.
Well, it will be the whole, it will have all that.
It's up to everybody to sell it at an individual basis. Every one of us, when we walk into a meeting, we have to say, this is
You
why.
can't
Simplify it down.
s-
That
sell it.
explains
Well-
what each department does and what they spend their money on in very,
So this 12-page one, the summary, does that come first? And then everything else after it on the website?
I don't know if the mill rate summary, I think the summaries come and then these 12 pages go behind. We have these summary sheets that show you revenues, your expenditures, kind of grouped together.
And not having the revenues on there is important too, because you're missing, you're only showing
That's
half of the
a huge
picture.
piece. That's-
Well, it's a
Especially
really
because we
big piece.
used
yeah.
the revenues, that we took action to reduce the mill rate by increasing the
Well, and we should show the
revenues.
difference in the revenues coming from the state.
Yes, it does show that.
It does.
Okay.
So I guess the simplified version, unfortunately, is 12 pages long. And I just don't know, and it's on the website, so is it that you, I mean, I don't know, will it be illegal to, like Bob said, put out a postcard that says this is where you can find it, www.whatever on this page? I don't know. That's something you guys would have to tell
Doesn't
me,
seem
because I'm
like it
not a
would be
lawyer and I'm
a
not.
good, good spending of money. I mean, if people are interested in seeing, they're gonna at least go to their webpage.
Yeah, and that will be posted
Or
on the
come here.
webpage. Please, the town's,
Yeah,
Well,
they
once
to
it's
spend
posted-
money
Did
to
you
do
say
a
or come
postcard.
Can't you move it from the webpage to Facebook
no,
easily
they actually
enough?
can come and get copies.
In other words, claim it on the website?
That's up to the town to put it
You
on
can
the
link
town. Yeah. the
Right,
town-
so, but
the
you
town
as
of
an
East Windsor
individual
put it there.
you as an individual can talk about anything. That's your right as a
Right.
citizen. So if you're really concerned about getting this out, then my suggestion would be you go to the website and you make sure that your contacts and the people you know have a copy of that. And that, to me, that's what I meant. I shouldn't have used the word sale because I'm used to businesses. But to inform people about it, we all have to reach out to the people we know and the groups we know. At EDC Monday night, I guarantee the discussion was about what we cut, because I happened to be in the room.
Right, sorry.
You can do this so simple. She's got these 12 pages. Each one of these categories has got all kinds of subcategories in it. You got basically 10 departments plus the Board of Ed, and I think that includes your finance. One line, start here, finish here, go through the basic departments, your Board of Selectmen, your police department, public safety, put it all in one. You got down to the Board of Education. Just put two numbers out there, real simple, and on the bottom, for details, go to www, whatever you're gonna do it at, and everybody that wants the detail can go to it, and you should be able to do it on one sheet of paper without any problems. You're only talking like 10 lines, plus a total. Keep it simple. It'd be very much more understandable. Don't get it complicated, it doesn't work.
This one, the general fund revenue and expenditures, that's pretty much.
Yeah, we might need the whole thing on that, but these here, you don't need the whole
You
thing.
can't just do the budget end of the deal, you need the revenue end of the deal.
That's on there. We're trying to make it simplified one, because they want to get it.
Only question on adjournment?
There's not supposed to be a discussion about revenue.
No, we didn't, did we?
Yeah, I
No,
thought so.
we didn't. No, I got stopped. You guys-
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
I thought Bob
Wait a
wanted
minute,
to
I'm
say
good.
something.
No, Bob asked to talk, stop.
Oh,
It wasn't about this that he wanted to talk about.
Yeah. What I want to talk about is at the Board of Selectmen meeting last night, and in prior meetings and through emails with Geraldine and also talking with Kathy Simonelli and the Board of Education, we, the Board of Selectmen, would like to see if you, as a Board of Finance, would like to get together and have a joint meeting to address the memorandum of agreement for establishing a non-lapsing, unexpended educational fund, basically. I think Geraldine sent me a draft that was, I don't know who wrote it, but it was a good start. So would you be interested in joining the Board of Selectmen at our next meeting, which is 2 weeks from yesterday?
What's the date?
It'll be the beginning of May, so first Tuesday in May. Second, I'm just guessing.
The second.
May 2nd? Well, unless we do it at like 8:30, I'm out of town until like 8:30.
That would be
I
fun.
don't know
I
about
guess,
everybody
Jason,
else.
what do you think about that?
Come with me, we'll still be there.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know how so we'd start our meeting and a joint meeting, so we'd recess our meeting and begin a joint meeting of the two. Would that make sense, Jason?
You notice the two meetings at the same time, at a specific time, at the same place with the same agenda. And then when the Board of Finance portion is done, you adjourn that meeting and the Board of Selectmen meeting continues with whatever else we have to do.
I heard what you're saying, but the Board of Selectmen meeting would start at 7, and the,
Yeah, I can't get there
the
till
Board
like
of,
8:30.
So we'd notice it for 8 o'clock.
Okay.
so we'd
Is
have two.
everybody else okay with that
sorry,
date,
would
though?
Would the Board of Selectmen have
Yeah.
two
Do we
meetings then?
need to?
No, we would start our meeting.
Oh, all right.
What you need to
Yeah, we-
coordinate with Geraldine is to make sure that the agenda subject matter is the same on both agenda. And then we don't take that
Let's
up
find out how
until
many people
their
can get
meeting
first,
convenes.
Okay.
Hold on one
Okay.
second, Bob, because I already have are you okay on that day?
I have to look.
Okay. I'm 8:30. Are you okay on that day?
I'm sure I'm good. I'm not-
Cindy,
I'm good.
you're good.
No.
Steve, you are not good. Do you know or do you need to look?
How's he doing? He's gonna be there. He sits home, watches the meetings on TV anyway, he'll be here.
Yes, no?
If it's about the matter that the selectmen were discussing last night, it's pretty cut and dry, I thought. And the confusion seems to be the fact that they think that it's coming as extra when really they're just saving what they've already been budgeted for. Am I incorrect in the 1% in the memorandum that?
Well, that's what we'll discuss that night.
But that was what the confusion was at their meeting last night. They didn't seem to get that understanding.
I wasn't there last night, so I have no idea what they did.
Well, I was. I watched
know.
part of it on the video and then I came down because I was concerned. So,
Well, I would say I'm fine with it. What is a quorum for us anyways?
4.
All right, so you need to check. So Bob, I will give you a definite
Sure.
once everybody gets
Well,
back
you're
to me. on
certainly
their-
invited, and that would
Okay.
be,
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Okay.
yeah, I think I have Community Day meeting at 7, so if it's 8, I could probably make it.
All right, take a peek, Jim, and just text me or
Yes,
shoot me
I'll be
something.
glad to, Joe.
Thank you. All right, Paula, I will try to send you an email, call you, whatever, have you check your calendar. All right, I'll let you know, Bob.
thank you.
All right. All right, who made the motion to adjourn?
I did.
Second? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion clearly passes. Okay.
Steve.
Straight up, Michelle. Both of them did it, so. It is 8:06.
Did you try out that slushy for a drink when you
It's
say?
here.
I know it is, I already said
We're getting it straight, actually.
you can't sneak anything around. When I lived, I was so discreet.
Yeah,
We're gonna,
I think it's